It's another Champions League preview. Liverpool travel to Milan, to the Anfield Wrap in the Casa, Italia. It's a Liverpool institution. It's a wonderful place. It's been here longer than I've been in Liverpool. I think that's 39 years. It's a fantastic place run by brilliant people, and it's very popular jaunt here on Stanley Street. So nice one to them for inviting us down. And it's Ian Ryan who's got the hottest tickets in town.
Oh, mate, I've done all right here, haven't I? What a touch. What a touch.
It's great gaff, this, isn't it?
Oh, mate, it's great gaff. We were saying before, weren't we? We've been here loads and loads of times. Not been here for a while, but when you see a spread like this, it's tempting to be back, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I said to Ian, I've just ordered a couple of bits and then it sort of comes and it looks absolutely tremendous. So yeah, nice one to Casa Italia for looking after us today, and nice one for the Reds to put us in this wonderful position where we can start a preview, the last one of the, not being nervous, but instead talking about food.
Well, I remember doing a show for video content when the draw had just been made, and we were talking about what kind of challenge it was to get through this group. And I have to say, Gib, I'm not just saying this after the events really, but I always felt it looked harder on paper. I thought Liverpool would have too much for the sides that were in the group. And I think someone like Porto, for instance, I always thought they're a nice team for us to play against. They almost play a certain style that lends itself to how Liverpool want to play. I think AC Milan, you think, well, yeah, on paper, big name, but is there any substance there in terms of, could he turn Liverpool over? I never thought he would have come to Anfield and cause us too many problems, albeit, it ends up being a fairly kind of tight game. And then Atletico Madrid, we owed them one. And if Liverpool Football Club owe you one, you could be in a bit of a naughty time, do you know what I mean? And it turned out that way, so we are in a very fortunate position where, don't get me wrong, I think the manager will want to make it competitive because that's the kind of fella he is, and he'll respect the competition, but we've earned the right here. We've earned the right to do a little bit of tweaking and a little bit of playing around with the side, and we go into this with, well, without any trepidation, any caution. It's just a nice game of football for us. Yeah,
well, that's it. Well, we rotated for the last game, and it was funny because Atletico Madrid were coming out saying they were a bit worried about what Liverpool were going to do against Porto, and we won our game and they lost there. So worry about yourselves.
That's your own business, lads.
Yeah, worry about yourselves. Liverpool will again rotate. Jurgen Klopp's just done his press conference where he talked about, there'll be changes, but he said there won't be 11. He said I can't do 11, and so and always in these things it's a little bit stronger than maybe what you'd like, but I think he has got a few more options available to him this time. There's a couple more travel. The Porto one was at home, but we had a few more injuries. Then there's a few more coming back now, which allows him, to just get a few sort of minutes and legs as much as anything.
Yeah, so I think he can play around. Certainly at the back, I think he can make a change with the goalkeeper. No issues there. I think centre half wise, it smacks of Canate for me, and then I'd look at Nat Phillips and almost say maybe he's earned a little bit of a run out in this one for everything he done last season. And that's not me saying, he was this fella that came in and completely changed everything, but he did really, really well in a time of need. Yeah. And again, I don't think many of us were saying he's the answer long term, but short term, my God, he didn't provide a good stopgap for us. So I'd give him a run out. And if you're him, John, maybe you're thinking to yourself, what an opportunity to put myself out there, really. And if there's other people looking at centre halves in January, maybe they're looking at Nat Phillips on the back of a decent Milan performance, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then I think the full-backs he can play around as well. The likes of Tsimikas can come in. He's got something to play for because he knows he's pushing Andy Robbo. Now, Andy Robbo, for me, is clearly the best left-back at the club, and he should kind of keep his place, in my opinion. Even when there was one or two shouts for maybe changing it, I always felt he'd stick with Robbo. And then at right back, you can do a little bit with Nico Williams as well. Yeah,
Tsimikas was put up for the press conference as the player. So in Europe, it's manager then player. Always has been that way. And Tsimikas, he was sort of representing the first team, which suggests obviously that he will get a little bit of a go. And I agree with Ian. I think he deserves it as well. He goes, him and Nico in that first game. The first game, the one against Porto. Yeah. The first one after we would sort of guarantee you through. And I thought both of them were fine. And I agree with you. Defence does feel like the area, but it's almost easy to rotate, really. Kanate's obviously played, first team football this season. He's played some big games, played at Old Trafford, of course, in that game as well. And you're wanting to sort of give him games. So I think the three of them you mentioned there, the only one for me is maybe the other player. Whether he goes, asks Matip to go, whether he asks sort of Van Dijk to go, or whether he thinks I hope he goes for Nat Phillips. I think he deserves it, but it also wouldn't surprise me if he says, throughout the team, really, I'm going to ask a couple of lads to do a half each, and that's another thing that he has done a little bit of as well.
Yeah, he could do, and I think he might have to do that further forward. Yeah. I'd be a little bit concerned if he's thrown in a Matip for this one, when we know Joel's had injury history in the past. It feels unnecessary to risk him. And as I say, no disrespect to Nat Phillips, but you wouldn't say he's a vital member of this squad. Now, we might be looking at what he can do in January in terms of moves, and if Liverpool can get Joe Gomez fit and firing, and they've got the 4 centre-halves there, and they feel like they've got enough cover, then maybe they do something with Nat Phillips in January. I wouldn't be letting Virgil van Dijk anywhere near it, being perfectly honest.
All right, the Reds, thanks very much for getting stuck into that little snippet there of Anfield Wrap content. If you want the rest of that show and much more besides, click the link below, subscribe to the Anfield Wrap Premium, and for that you will get reviews, previews, exclusive interviews, post-match content, the full it. Get involved, follow us, follow them from the heart of Liverpool. Up the Reds.